Hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Weddings Unscripted. I'm Jenny Krauss, and this is my co-host, Kristin Kaplan.
Hi.
And today we have a very special guest, Ashley Stork, one of my favorite people in the world. She is the owner of Magnolia Events, and we are going to talk about a super hot topic today. It's actually so hot, it's on fire. So our topic is going to be all about, should you ever fire a client?
Yeah.
But before we dive into the juicy details, I am going to give Ashley a few minutes to kind of introduce herself and give us a 20-second elevator pitch on who the heck she is and why she's going to be talking to us about this.
Okay, well, 5 seconds ago, Jenny told me I had 30 seconds. So she just cut my time,
sorry,
by a third. Hey y'all, I'm Ashley Stork. I own Magnolia Events based in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm thrilled to be here. These are two of my very best biz friends in the entire world. So this is just super fun one to get to see your faces.
Yay.
And so thanks for having me today. We are a wedding and event planning company, like I said, based in Birmingham. And we work throughout the state of Alabama and around the Southeast. And we not only plan our own events, but we also will be managing a local venue in 2018 and have some digital planning products for brides to come next year. So that's really who we are and what we do.
Yay, I love it.
So exciting. And we figured Ashley would be good to have on here because she's been a wedding planner for many years and has had experience with this. Also, you'll notice my voice is totally not cool
Kristin
today.
Sounds like a man today.
I always have this problem.
Yeah.
So bear with me with my voice. And I apologize. But yeah, we thought it would be good to have you on here and kind of just talk about this because we see this all the time with, especially I feel like planners a lot, where we hit this point, some of us, and it's just, you see everyone venting in Facebook groups like, oh, guys, I had the worst client. They're horrible. Should I just fire them? And sometimes maybe yes, sometimes maybe no.
Right.
So first, do you have any, and then Jenny and I can share too, any situations that you've been in where you kind of had to make this crucial decision?
Yeah. I mean, I think just what you said of sometimes people they're in a difficult client relationship and sometimes you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that is kind of the beauty of what we do. There will be an end. This will be over. This too shall pass. But I think sometimes what ends up happening is people get into this tough way and they're clouded by that. And I just need to get out. And sometimes you do just need to get out and the client needs to get out, quite frankly. But also sometimes sometimes you might have to stick it out. So yes, I have been in this situation. I have had to fire a client before. And it's really, really difficult, but that client also knows it's not working. And while it's hard to be the one to say, I think we need to evaluate our working relationship together, you have to have that forethought for yourself, for your client, for your business. And it is hard because I think planners especially, and probably anyone really in the wedding industry, no one's doing this for the glory.
Right.
You're really a service person. You have a servant's heart. You just want to serve other people. So we're women, so we have a hard time telling people no anyway.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to say, this is not working.
Yeah. So, and it's hard because, in that situation, you're thinking about yourself, but I feel like as people in the wedding industry that very much have that servant's heart, you're still thinking of your client and you're thinking, this isn't healthy for me, but it's also not benefiting my client.
Totally.
Because you want them to be able to move on and find someone that's going to serve them in the capacity that they need served, and you're not that person and they're not that person for you.
Yeah.
And that's something
totally.
My kind of the one that stands out in my mind that's happened to me was I had to fire them kind of early. And I don't want to say fire them. It wasn't that. It wasn't like, you're fired. It was, we started working together, and at first it seemed like a great idea. They They, we had a great first meeting. They had some amazing ideas. We got started. We did a design plan. I did a budget. The budget was where things started to go off track, where they were just not liking the numbers I was giving them. They kept wanting me to come back with better numbers. Like I could just pull things out of oh, can we just make
like you had a money tree somewhere?
Yeah. And they were just
found that tree out back. Here's your new numbers.
So here we go. I'll just make those Shibari chairs half off. No big deal. And they just kept getting so frustrated and then I was bringing them venue ideas, and then more frustrations were happening because they were not the venues that they liked. And I'm like, but these are the venues you can afford. And it just started to get way off track very quickly. And you could tell they were getting frustrated with me. And I had to basically sit them down and say, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think, you're trusting me. You keep thinking I'm hiding stuff or I'm not giving you the best deals or things like that. And I'm sensing that from you. And at this point, where your budget is, this money that you're spending on me, because it was a large amount, might be better suited to other things in your wedding, honestly. And
right. Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because their budget was tight. They just wanted to do so much. It was a decent amount of money, but the amount they wanted to do was astronomical. And at first, when I actually kind of started this conversation, they immediately were like, no, it's fine. No, we're good. We'll figure it out. We're fine. And it was funny because then they sent me an email, that was a Friday evening. They sent me an email Saturday morning and they were like, the more we talked about it last night, we think you're right. And we think it's probably best that we, handle the planning on our own. It's just not something that was truly in our budget now that we're really seeing all these numbers break down. And I think I negotiated with them, I will give you back half of your initial deposit just because I wanted to separate things on good terms and I'll keep the rest as, payment for the work that I've already done. And they were like, sounds great. And I was like,
I think awesome. That's so hard about what we do is this is brand new for all of these people. They have never done this before. They don't know what the numbers are. They don't know what that's going to look like. And so our job is to constantly be educating. And I think that applies to anybody really in the wedding industry, whether it's photography and making people understand what a first look is, just because you've been to a wedding or in a wedding doesn't mean you necessarily know what that term is. If you're a caterer, if you're, a cake artist, if you're a florist, if you're a stationer, goodness gracious, there's 1,000 different types of paper and printing processes and kinds and all this stuff. And so people are on decision fatigue when they're dealing with us, quite frankly. And so they just don't know what they don't know. And so sometimes you kind of do run into that situation of oh, we had no idea Shibari chairs might cost $8 to $10 a chair. Or I had no idea that the letter pressed, most beautiful invitation I've ever seen in my life is going to cost me $15 to $20 a pop. They just don't know those things. And so I have had those experiences too, where it's it hasn't led to the client relationship ending, but you do have to do so much educating to get them to understand, well, that's great that these are the hopes and dreams, but here's where the numbers lie. And here are the hopes and dreams that we can do versus what we can't. And I think the wedding industry kind of has a bad rap for, nickel and diming people.
So we all have money trees.
Yeah.
And we work in the wedding industry. We're just, backing it up.
Making it rain, which
it's the opposite.
We just quadrupled what everything costs just because the word wedding's attached to it. Really. So we can totally just back down off all those costs.
Right. Exactly. And so I think sometimes that's where people too, they kind of have a little distrust even going in. And you have to spend that education time. And for, like you said, for some clients, maybe it's for them to get the things that they want. Maybe it's just not the right fit. But thank God you knew that early, had the foresight to know that earlier rather than halfway through going, what am I going to do? What are
we've seen people in these Facebook groups that will say the wedding's in 3 weeks and I want to fire them. And it's sort of maybe we should have that conversation sooner.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to segue the conversation into our next point of not all tough relationships are worth severing a tie. And there are times when you can have those tough love conversations and you can get a client relationship back on course, and it actually ends, it's better for everyone. And it's like any relationship, people have to understand that most wedding vendor relationships span 12 plus months. And, in your marriage, in your engagement, you're not going to have a hiccup in a 12-month time at some point there, so just look at it like that. It's like any other relationship. Communication, the tone is getting lost in communication. And so many times we see people post in groups of, oh, well, she said this, and, she's not grateful, or, of all this work that I'm doing. At the end, I'm old fashioned where, have you called them?
Yeah.
Taking them the coffee, because sometimes when you're only emailing, the tone is just, I'm just trying to get business done, and I'm trying to get the task done for you. There's not time for that emotional mushiness, whereas it's being misread and feelings are getting hurt when you can just simply hop on the phone with somebody and redirect it. So I would love to know kind of your experience, Ashley, as to if you've had a time where you've been in a tough client relationship and you've really saved it, maybe just from your perspective of that.
I mean, I think even the best client relationships have a tough moment. We're dealing with money and high emotional stress. There's, of course, going to be drama. It really, most of the time, never has anything to do with me or another vendor or anything like that. It is so an outside factor that we have no control over. And sometimes when you do pick up the phone, you end up finding out that that girl's grandmother is sick and might not be able to come to her wedding. And that was always her dream to have her grandmother there. Or like maybe her parents are going through a divorce, or his parents, or they're already divorced. And there's this crazy drama happening because
everybody's bringing a date.
Get along. So I think a lot of times it's a lot about what you said of sometimes you just need to have a real life conversation of, hey girl, can we get together and meet? Or, let's go to Starbucks. Let's go get coffee. I just want to touch base, that kind of thing. Or just pick up the phone and have a conversation. I will say, I think my toughest client relationships have led me to my best processes. So
yes, me too. I just went through this.
I had a bride one time tell me, which I thought this was really funny. She was like, you kind of run your job like TSA. Someone brings a shoe bomb on a plane. No one can wear shoes anymore. Security check. And I was like, well, yeah, kind of. Like I had a situation last year where we kind of had an abuses sounds rougher than it was, but yeah, it sounds dramatic. But we had a situation of like inappropriate conversation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now there's an abuse clause in our contract because I'm not going to be talked to that way. So I think, again, like I said, the tough situations have led me to reflect internally and say, what could I have done to prevent this? Like, I want to be proactive in my business and other things rather than constantly reactive, because that's exhausting.
Right.
So that led me to making a welcome email, which actually we're turning into a video series that our clients are going to get when they sign up with us. To outline
I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. To outline your office hours, your preferred communication. How can people make appointments with you? Do you have some blogs of questions that you get asked all the time that instead of constantly responding to that email, do you have somewhere where you can direct those people? Are you using like an online system that people might need a little instruction on? That's all included in our welcome email. Life changing, literally. Yes. I mean, life changing.
Set the tone very well.
Set the tone at the beginning. All that stuff is also in our potential client magazine. So they're seeing it before they even sign the contract. All that stuff is in the contract. And then they see it again when they're welcomed to be part of our family, because that's really how we address them, as this is a family. And so really reiterating those things are super important. I actually had a mom email me. It was over a weekend, and she said, well, I know you won't be in the office till Tuesday. Well, the reason she knows that is because she was told through those 3 types of communication, it's also on my email signature. Teach people how you want to be treated. And if you are constantly responding to their text messages, but then you're like resentful that they're texting you, well, you're responding.
Thank you. I could have a whole episode.
We could do an entire episode on that.
On texting.
On the texting.
I get it that is the easiest way to communicate. And for our clients, that's probably the easiest way for them to communicate because they're at work and they can fire off that thought really fast. My best suggestion for that is look at their text message and respond via email. You need that in an email. It does not need to be in text message.
And you might have to revisit this too. Keep that in mind. I think people, again, like Ginny said, 12 months long a lot of the time you're working with it. So sometimes they start to forget 9 months in that this is how you operate.
Or 1 month in.
Or exactly.
Right.
And sometimes a lot of those friction points come about because things have gotten derailed and the process has gotten derailed, and you sort of have to like scoop them all back in and be like, hey guys, let's
like get back to basics
and making sure that we're holding up our client expectations too. Like if we are strictly 100%. Saying we want to be communicated with Monday through Friday 9 to 5, but then we're always responding to emails at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, like that, and then you know what I mean, you have to set that expectation and kind of stick with it. Now that's why they make things called Boomerang for Gmail, so you can work at 2 a.m.
Everyone go install that on your Gmail account now.
Exactly. Boomerang for Gmail. It lets you work when you want to work and set it to send whenever. So if I want to work at 2 a.m. on Saturday and set it to send at 8 a.m. on Monday, then there we go. It helps uphold that client expectation from both ends, because you can't really say I'm unavailable and then you've been emailing me for like 4 months on Saturdays. Why not this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the other things that came to mind, Ashley, when you were talking is, I think, and we were talking earlier about picking up the phone is, you know, one of the things that I've always found helps a lot when you deal with you get to these friction points, is reminding them that you're on their side. Because I think somehow they start to forget that, throughout the process. Is like, my favorite phrase is just getting on the phone with them and saying, I just want to remind you, I'm on your team. Like, I'm on team you guys. I want you to have the wedding that you are envisioning. Like, that is my ultimate goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Anything that's coming in between that right now is not because I don't want that for you. I'm just trying to help you navigate that and achieve it. And sometimes you might not always like what I have to say about it.
Yeah, I just had that conversation with a client who we love and adore, like so excited for this wedding. But I could tell that there was just some like ick, like I can't even describe it. And I just got on the phone with her and I was like, I am team you guys. Just exactly what you said. I am here for you. I'm to be your advisor, your friend, your mediator, your advocate. I am always your champion. This is just the situation we're in. And so let's figure out how to navigate it together. Things couldn't be better now.
Exactly.
So I think you do have to remind them, like, not only of those expectations kind of through the planning process or your workflow. Like something we try to do is we send clients monthly update emails while they have their master checklist online and all that good stuff. I forget that I'm in that system all day long and they're not. Yeah. And so again, we're setting the expectation of this is what we're doing this month. This is what you need to be doing. It keeps everybody on the same page. It keeps all those expectations really clear, but it reiterates kind of all those policies and it reminds them, I'm team you.
Right. I love that.
I'm not here to be a barrier to like this process. I'm here for you.
And I even have that with, you know, I'm not a wedding planner, you know, but I'm a brand strategist. And, you know, it's when you're building someone's brand, as you know, Ashley, because you and I just built your brand together.
Check out my website. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Thank you very much.
No credit for it. So,
in partnership with Jess Creatives.
Yes.
Shout out to our girl. But it is like planning a wedding because it's a stressful situation.
Oh yeah.
You know, because this is your brand, this is your baby. It's like your one and only wedding day. It's your one and only rebrand launch to show the world what you are. And, you know, sometimes we kind of hit that wall of the communication and having to get on the phone and remind the client, I am team you. You know, we are going to do this together. I am going to navigate. I'm going to take you all the way to the finish line, and I am not going to let you put out something that is not 110%, you know, what we set out to accomplish from day one. So, you know, just having that open communication and expectation at the end of the day, I think is what we kind of all agree that is really, really important.
But I think there will be times when maybe you should fire clients. I think we've sort of established that, you know, if it's just a hiccup, or if it's just getting a little, like you said, Ashley, like icky, or it's getting difficult, or hitting tension points, more than likely you're going to want to stick it out, and you're going to want to.
If you're having to revisit that same point 3 and 4 times, well, then it might be time to let it go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I will say in wedding world, it's probably not good to leave people hanging 3 weeks before their wedding. You might just have to stick it out regardless at that point, unless you want a really nasty review. But there are always going to be some times, like Ginny said, where yes, it's not best for you. It's not best for the couple. It is time to just say, this is clearly not working, and I can't foresee it working, regardless of how many times we try to have that come to Jesus, I'm on your team conversation. Or it might be a contract issue or something where it's, they're not paying their bills, or like they're
will not work for free.
Flat out in breach of contract, which don't be afraid in those situations to say, this really isn't working. I'm sorry. And, you know, and be, you know, stick to your guns, because that is scary. I think we're all so worried about like the negative review or whatever, and they're going to bash me online. And so people, I think, tend to stick things out or work for free or do things they probably shouldn't be doing, as opposed to letting a client go when it's time.
Yeah, right.
I think, you know, when you know it's time is when you have maybe had the course correction convo, maybe a couple times, and it's not correcting.
Yep.
And that is not your fault of your own, fault of the other party. And I think when contracts are being breached in terms of payments and not setting to due dates, but for you to know that, you have to be organized. You have to know when your invoices are due, and you have to have a system for that. So I think a lot of times wedding vendors, I love you, but not always, we're real creative, but we're not always like super organized. Nope. So, you know, the situations I have been in where we have had to part ways with a client have been breach of contract situations. And even my very first year, it was like a month in, and I was so embarrassed, and I felt like I was such a failure and that this business would never work because I had this situation with a client, but they were in breach of our contract. And so it was either work for free, in which I was not going to do.
And keep your fingers crossed you might get paid.
And just hope that it was going to work out, or
let it go.
Let it go. And so, and we just decided mutually that it was probably better to let it go. Yeah. And so,
don't be afraid to be a business at the end of the day too, and realize.
At the end of the day, you are a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all about helping you
making money,
run a profitable and sustainable business. That's, you know, the heart of what the Wedding Business Bosses is. So it's really important. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there, ladies. We're about to.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks for having me, friends. Ashley, can you let everybody really quickly know where they can find you and stalk you online?
Yeah, pretty much Magnolia Vine events everywhere: Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and the website is magnoliavineevents.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being such an awesome guest and sharing your when to fire a client wisdom with us.
It's not fun, but you know, there's great support in the Wedding Business Bosses group. So if you ever need to chat it out,
come talk to us.
Ambassadors, Ginny and Kristin are there for sure. We're there to help you. And it stinks to
navigate this stuff.
Yeah, but
we'll help you figure out which route to go, left or right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.